and welcome to Drums Set Your Way to Success, video number 8. In this video, we're gonna go over some really basic fills you can start incorporating into your basic rock beats or funk beats. And these fills and generic way you kind of move around the drums in your fills can work in any style, but we're specifically gonna focus on the rock beat pattern for this video. All right, so again, for these fills, we're gonna be sticking with the standard rock beat. Bass drum on 1 and 3, snare drum on 2 and 4, and eighth notes in the hi-hat. We're gonna start our fills only on the snare drum first, and then we'll start moving around to the other toms. Whenever you finish a fill, it's pretty standard to end on beat 1 with the bass drum and crash cymbal, so I will be doing that for most of these fills. The first fill we're gonna go over is a very easy 1 beat fill. So this is just gonna be straight 16th notes on beat 4, just leading in to beat 1. So to start, I'm just gonna put those 16th notes on the snare drum. Then I'll start doing the same straight 16th notes on beat 4 on different drums. Could maybe do it on the tom and maybe do a combination of snare to the different toms and then ending on the crash cymbal. So here is your 1 beat drum fill. And again, you can do any variation of those 16th notes on any of the drums. Now let's take that one step further and go from a 1 beat fill to a 2 beat fill. So now this fill is gonna start on beat 3. I'm gonna start with 2 eighth notes on beat 3, followed by those 4 16th notes on beat 4. Again, I'm gonna start with just the snare drum, and then I'll start moving around to the different toms and other drums with the same rhythmic pattern on 3 and 4. So here's your 2 beat fill. And again, you can change up the rhythm if you want. We're just putting our fill on beats 3 and 4 leading into beat 1 of the next measure. Next, we can do the same 2 beat fill, but we can change these up into triplets. I personally really like playing triplets as fills. It's just a personal preference. This is just another example of a different rhythmic pattern you can use as a fill going into beat 1. Again, I'm gonna start on the snare drum and then move around to the different toms so you can see the different applications of this rhythm pattern on the different drums. So here's a triplet drum fill. Now let's look at a full measure drum fill. You can do this on any rhythmic pattern, 16th notes, 8th notes, triplets. For this first one, we're gonna do it with just 8th notes. And this is pretty standard if you really are trying to build to the next session, and it's really fun to put a crescendo on this. So I'm just gonna play straight 8th notes when I get to the last measure on the snare drum and floor tom and really build up that full measure of 8th notes into the next beat. So here is a full measure of 8th notes fill. Next, let's take that same full measure fill, but let's try it on some triplets. And again, you can move around the drums however you want. So here's a triplet full measure fill. This next fill is a fun one. This one we're gonna call the splat boom because that's what it sounds like, and we're gonna incorporate those flams that we learned in our rudiments video. So again, this is a full measure. When I get to the last measure, I'm gonna do flams on all the downbeats and the bass drum on all the upbeats. So that's where we get the splat boom sound. So it'll sound like this, right? Here's our flam starting 1 stick closer to the drum head. So let's put that into context. the Debbie fill. This sort of goes back to that 1 beat fill idea we started with, but it's actually right at the end of beat 4. It's mostly just on the and a 4. And this isn't really so much a fill as it is a very small lead-in, just to add another quick idea while you're performing with a band or an ensemble, as opposed to the rest of the group almost stopping so you can do a fill. The band might still be playing here, but it's just a way to change up the rock groove. So this is called the Debbie fill because it sounds like Debbie as you go into the next measure. So here's the Debbie fill. The last fill we're going to look at goes back to that 2 beat fill we talked about earlier. This builds off of the Debbie that we just looked at. This is called the Pat Boone Debbie Boom. And this is a standard fill that people might ask for. Again, if you're playing with a rock group and they just want a quick fill idea, they'll say, play me the Pat Boone Debbie Boom. And again, it's called that because it sounds like it. And it's just 2 8th notes followed by 2 16th and an 8th. And you can do that on just 1 drum. So, 3 and 4 EN. And you can do that on other drums too. So, or. So let's put a few of those into context. This is the Pat Boone Debbie Boom. So there you have it. There are 8 easy fills you can start incorporating into your everyday playing, and you can follow different rhythms, different patterns around the drums. You don't have to stick with those, but those are some basic ways to get started with the fills. I hope you had fun with those fills today, and I'll see you in lesson number 9.